Alright, so the next thing we want to do in our invoice is load in the ticket analysis and ticket review, which will help us identify any errors or potential errors on our tickets that we have before we go through. And I'm going to do some more advanced troubleshooting in a different video, but we'll do a little bit in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Load Ticket Analysis and Ticket Review button, which will pull up and tell us that we don't have any deleted tickets to worry about, unbilled, doubly billed, but we do have a few that have a $0 total. And so we're going to choose one of these and see if we can troubleshoot it really quick. So I'm going to grab this one. And you'll notice in here that if we go to the Invoice tab, it's going to tell us that we have an error on this ticket invoice. And we can see that it's the rate per barrel that is not calculating out. And so we have here, we could manually override it, but better, we probably want to figure out what's going on for this ticket. And so if we click on any of these magnifying glasses, it's going to open up and show us the logic path on how these things were calculated. So if I were to open up the split sites, for example, right here, in here you can see there is this tab called Logic Trace. So we can see the logic in here, which we've kind of covered in the accounting management modules, if you go back and watch any of those videos. But in here you can see that if it's a reject load, then it's 0. It's not a reject in this case. Otherwise, you can see we have this highlighted else, so we're going down this path. And then it says if the number of split sites is greater than 1, which it isn't, else, so it's 40, which is the split price, multiplied by 0 is what we calculated out, which is why it's a 0. So since it was successful, you can see this path of yellow highlights and then a green line. However, on this rate per barrel, which is probably a more complicated formula, if we go into here, you can see that we have a more complicated path right here. So we are not a reject load, and then we're passing through all these yellow conditions, but we hit a red condition right here where it says the loaded barrel gross total is multiplied by the price per barrel. And if we look into that, most likely we are having a problem with our standard distance, since we definitely know that there's barrels on there, but this price per barrel is a function of standard distance. On the rate sheets over in accounting management, we may not have a rate for the specified miles on this route. So let's just go really quickly over here, and we're going to check the mileage on here. And if we scroll down, you can see that it looks like our standard mileage has gotten a couple extra zeros. It was 17, but now it's 1700, which I'm sure is not on the rate sheet. So we're going to go ahead and change it back to 17, come back over to the invoice, and we're going to click on this refresh button at the top. What this will do is recalculate the invoice and do some other things, calculate net barrels and things like that. And you'll notice that even though this banner looks like it kind of froze right there, but if I come back into here, it no longer shows up. And you can see that our rate per barrel total was calculated out at $260.34. Which, by the way, all of these, as covered in the accounting management system, can be customized for your organization, be given different names. This is just what I have in here. So if we come back into this page and refresh, you'll notice that this 21,000 is going to go up by probably a couple hundred. Yep, went up to 300. And we now only have 5 tickets that have $0 totals. So through that process, you can kind of quickly fix these. And these are all the same route, so my guess is the mileage is messed up on that route as well. If I were to come into here and take a look, yeah, potentially 211 I think might be higher than the rate, may only go up to 200 or something like that. So you can go ahead and do those in there. But after we've done that, that's kind of the first basic review, is to fix these tickets. But next we're going to go over the ticket review. But I do want to show really quickly the variables page. You probably won't use this tab too much, but sometimes there's variables, custom surcharge percents, diesel prices that may get used. In this case, they aren't, so these are kind of just blank and don't really matter. And then import allows you to import in a spreadsheet if you're doing a bunch of corrections out in Excel or something and want to bring them in and just do those corrections that way. That is supported in here to upload replacement tickets to fix some of that stuff. We're not going to go over that in this video. It's a pretty straightforward process. But in the next segment, we're going to hit on this ticket review page and make sure all of these tickets look good before we approve and continue on with the invoice.